So let's just look at this green text a little bit. It's a way to spend leisure time reading and viewing content selected by someone with a consistent point of view that you like. A printed magazine is easily transportable, saved, and shared. It's usually published monthly or weekly with a lead time, meaning if I want something to appear in a magazine, I may have to get it to the magazine a few months before the magazine's actually printed for it to be included. Sold primarily on a subscription basis. So it's like the opposite of a newspaper. I can get a news story to a newspaper tonight, it'll be in tomorrow's edition. It's not like that with magazines. They're longer lead times, which is why magazines are about news analysis, maybe, but it's not where you go to get your hot news. Almost all magazine spending, meaning ad spending, so advertisers, remember I said, yeah, they get subscription income, but they're mostly relying on advertising income. Advertisers want to run their ads in the pages of the magazine. And most advertisers who appear in magazines are reaching the whole audience of the magazine, meaning it's, quote, it's national. It's not geographically specific. Okay, so typically I'm buying all the subscribers, all the newsstand sales, plus the pass-along readers. That's the audience I'm buying. That's the audience the magazine is selling. Just a word about newsstand sales. Here's a guy at a newsstand. Looks like it might be in France. I'm looking on the left. It says aujourd'hui, which I believe means today. I've got a bunch of stuff on Paris. I've got magazines. I've got newspapers, National Geographic. By the way, all kinds of covers fighting for attention. Another type of newsstand is at the checkout. Magazines have been delivered at supermarket checkouts for years and years. National Enquirer, you can see on the right. I'm not sure if that's a newspaper or a magazine. I guess it's probably a magazine now that I think about it. They're weekly. They're also for entertainment. Okay. But lots of covers fighting for attention, and covers help sell the magazines. They do sell the magazine at a newsstand, and magazine publishers and editors know that putting the hot celebrity of the month on the cover will help the newsstand sales, the supermarket sales. There's a famous cover. I was speaking about Vanity Fair. It's a Condé Nast magazine, Vanity Fair. They put a picture. This is the actress Demi Moore. You guys may not have heard of, but she was a very popular actress, one of the highest paid actresses in Hollywood, some time ago, 30 years ago, I'm thinking, or more. And I think you know who's on the left there. Celebrities sell. Now here's a controversial cover I wanted to show you. This is Muhammad Ali. This is Esquire magazine in 1968. Price $1. Esquire, the magazine for men. Esquire is published by Hearst, another one of the huge, in fact, the biggest magazine company in the U.S. It's a famous cover, The Passion of Muhammad Ali. Now, 1968, Muhammad Ali was banned from boxing because of his refusal to go be drafted to fight in Vietnam, and because of his controversial stances. He had joined the Nation of Islam, run by the prophet, so-called Prophet Elijah Muhammad. He changed his name from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali, right? I mean, he took a lot of stances and did a lot of things that angered a lot of people. And to say the least, he was controversial. So the art director of Esquire magazine, a guy named George Lois, who was supposedly a model for the show Mad Men, got this idea. There's a famous Botticelli painting of Saint Sebastian, um, where he has arrows in him. Saint Sebastian is a martyr, and this painting is from the 16th, 15th century, and um, George Lois wanted to do the same idea as the Saint Sebastian painting and make Ali look like a martyr with actual arrows in him. So they stuck those arrows. I think there's 6 of them. They actually used glue and stuck them to him. And he agreed to pose for the photo. He had a lot of questions about the photo. He wasn't just, doing it with no questions asked. But you can see here, he internalized the martyr conceit. Hey, George, says Ali. George Lois, he says to George Lois. He'd say the names of the people in this world that were out to get him. Lyndon Johnson was one arrow. The next one, General Westmoreland, was the guy running the Vietnam War, was out to get him. Robert McNamara was Secretary of Defense. Each of the arrows was a person in government that had hurt him. So this is one of the most famous magazine covers ever, thanks to this guy, George Lois. And I suppose it sold very well on the newsstands. So, 1950, 6,950 magazines. Now over 20,000 magazines. 7,300 are general interest. The rest are very focused magazines. Only 800 magazines produce 3/4 of the industry's gross revenues. So there are lots of little small magazines, niche magazines out there. Here are the number of print magazines from 2002 to 2020. And you can see 2002, 5,340. Now, over 7,400 magazines, according to Statista. Now this is 2017. I have newer data coming, but I wanted it, or after this slide. These are the top consumer magazines by readership and paid circulation. So total readership is the blue, paid circulation is the red. So readership includes the subscribers, pass-along readers, and newsstand sales. So AARP only has 23.1 million subscribers. By the way, everyone who is over age 55 automatically joins the American Association of Retired People and gets the magazine. But you see there are a lot more total readers than there are subscribers. These are more up to date. This is first half 2021. Circulation numbers for the top magazines in the U.S. But again, it's AARP. Why? Because everybody age 55 plus automatically gets it pretty much. Costco Connection Bank, American Main Street, Better Homes and Gardens, People Magazine. So you can see the most popular magazines by circulation 2021. By the way, what this doesn't share is that actually there are 2 magazines with higher worldwide circulation. These are the highest worldwide circulation magazines. Both of these are religious magazines. Here's one, 44.5 million circulation, and then the Watchtower from the Jehovah's Witness Church is 50 million. So, scope and structure. So 3 types: trade, professional, and business, industrial, company, and sponsored magazines, and then consumer magazines. We're going to spend most of our time looking at consumer magazines. But here are a couple of business magazines, Forbes and Inc. It's Larry Ellison from Oracle on the cover on the left there of Forbes. And then you've got some job-specific magazines. Here's one for doctors called MD, famous magazine, actually originally published by the Sackler family, if I'm not mistaken, or one division of the Sackler family, the family that brought us Purdue Pharma. Originally made a lot of money, if I'm not mistaken, publishing a magazine for doctors called MD. Here's a magazine for accountants. So business magazines, general interest business magazines, and then magazines devoted to different professions. So if you're an accountant, you might be taking this magazine. Consumer magazines, lots of categories. My goodness. This is from the book. They're alternative, business money, celebrity entertainment, children's magazines, computer, so-called ethnic magazines, family-oriented magazines, fashion, general interest, geographical, like city or state magazines, older people's magazines, literary magazines, men's magazines, news magazines, but the news magazines analyze the news. They're not just, reporting hot off the presses, right? Political opinion, sports, Sunday newspaper magazines, women's magazines, youth magazines. So let's take a look at some of these. Your book calls AARP a gray magazine. I'm calling it a general mass magazine. Well, we could debate that. People magazine, Cosmopolitan magazine. Here's the so-called women's service magazines. These started really, I think, as magazines for, in the 40s and the 50s when these really came to the fore. Magazines like Red Book and Good Housekeeping. These were for wives and mothers who stayed at home. Gave them things to read. It gave them recipes, cleaning tips, and all the household products, from companies like Procter & Gamble and Colgate and others, Lever Brothers, took ads in these magazines to reach women. Shelter magazines are about homes, so Architectural Digest is the best known. It's a cool looking house. I always like modern houses like that. Here's some special interest magazines. Thrasher magazine for skateboarders. Outside. If you look closely, you'd see that my name is on this. I subscribed to Outside for a while. I didn't get Outside as much as I should have, but I like to read about it. So I think basically the idea here is that if there is an interest, there's a magazine for it. So let's look at in more detail at some of these magazines. Here's one for knitters, Knit Science, car enthusiasts, Car and Driver, published by Hearst, Field and Stream, for hunters, people who like the outdoors life. Bonnier Corporation is the publisher of Field and Stream, but also owns all these special interest magazines. Marlin Magazine, Saltwater Magazine, Cruising World Yachting. They publish all these magazines. It's a company that's owned, I think, in Sweden, Swedish family. But these are the publications they publish in the U.S. Inked Magazine is a special interest magazine for people who are into the inked lifestyle. Culture, style, art. Paper Magazine. It's an interesting magazine. Has a certain viewpoint, right? If you share the viewpoint, you dig the magazine. Here's some teen magazines. I guess that's one on the left. That's John Travolta when he was a teen idol. And here's more recent, Tiger Beat magazine. This is for preteen girls, maybe teen girls mostly, probably. Um, this is a story. Oh, I gotta stop.